Love it or hate it, the cameo system is a core feature of modern-day Mortal Kombat. Some of you have really leaned into the assist mechanic, while others rarely miss the opportunity to express their displeasure. And some of you in-betweeners accept it, but make their cameo choice for reasons like, I just like the character, or I saw someone use this and thought it looked cool. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it kind of keeps you on this cameo select screen carousel, never having quite had that moment when you click with the cameo as an extension of your character, not just as an assist. So today will be a little bit of a different video, one that's not at risk of irrelevancy when the Takeda patch is released just a few days from now, and is targeted toward those in-betweeners. I'll use my own character as a reference, but you can apply something like this to any character. A good starting point is to think about cameos categorically. I'll begin by defining two broad categories: cameos that help cover your character's shortcomings, and cameos that make things your character already excels at better, or even some combination of both. Any crossover in these two broad categories is indicative of synergy between the cameo and the character. And let's go one tier deeper and further define these two categories with two subcategories each, two weaknesses and two strengths. This is when a lot of subjectivity on my behalf is introduced. Personal preference for playstyle, quality of life, cooldowns, ambush versus summon, etc. will inform these categories and the weighted value that you assign to each. Not to mention character choice, obviously, as they don't all share the same strengths and same weaknesses. For me, the flawless block gap in Mileena's 1-2 string is a huge buzzkill. It's her fastest button, has privileged range, a baked-in overhead follow-up that can also be special canceled into a low. I guess it has to be balanced somehow, right? But this is a full combo punish on flawless block unless she cancels into a Psy, which is also death if they just block instead. So there is always risk associated with this string. Because of that risk, one thing I unequivocally look for in a cameo is one with an ability that's both safe on block and can counter a punish attempt after flawless blocking the string. Another deliberate shortcoming of Mileena is that her Psys only go half screen unless she spends meter. So anything a cameo can give me for some kind of screen presence when outside of Psy range is also a high priority. We'll loosely categorize this as like a mid to full screen neutral. Now, for the strengths, I think Mileena has a decent stagger game, both from her standing 1 and a very serviceable mid, a very annoying basic mix-up with forward 4 and back 4 is also plus on block, and so on. She's sticky like glue. Once she's on you, she's stuck to you until you find a way to weasel out or peel her off. I'm going to broadly define this simply as pressure, and any cameo that can provide a way to stay stuck to the opponent, keep turns, give her enhanced mix-ups, and things of that nature get a passing grade in this category. This last category I'll call damage. With no cameo, Mileena is already quite capable, with damage in the mid-300s meterless and low 400s for 1 bar. Considering that ball roll enables a combo on essentially any stray hit, she's definitely no slouch when it comes to damage. Anything that can add to her already good damage, provide combo extensions, new combo routes altogether, or lack of these things will be considered here. With all of that established, now let's put it to the test. Let's start with everyone's favorite week 1 meta pick, Sareena. She has basic but good tools that synergize with most, if not all, the roster. Let's see how she settles into this chart that I spent way too much time making. Does she have an ability that's both safe on block and fast enough to counter-hit an opponent trying to punish 1-2's flawless block gap? Her Demonic Dance is -3 on block, which qualifies in that respect. Additionally, it has enough pushback on block to make some standing buttons whiff. The flawless block gap is the most important part though, and it also beats 7-frame punishes and trades with 6 frames, recovering in time to still convert if this happens in the corner. Demonic Dance embodies what I'm looking for from this category. Next, what about any kind of neutral presence between mid and full screen? Yes, she has a very annoying, fast recharging full screen projectile, plus another projectile that's a combo starter even from full screen thanks to ball roll. That combo starter also has a place in the damage category. Like Low Hat, which serves as both a full screen projectile and pressure tool, the same ability in both parent categories is indicative of synergy and you should take special notice. That leaves pressure. While not the strongest pressure, the curse can be very effective as a different sort of pressure, and is also Sareena's only ambush. This can come in really clutch in preventing breakers or situationally forcing movement. So not great like some other cameo pressure tools, but still good. So Sareena seems to check all the boxes with high marks in most categories, so I'm confident in saying that Sareena is a high synergy cameo for Mileena. How about Sonya? I've seen this team played at high level and with good results, though she's definitely not as popular as other cameos. Let's see how she holds up to these metrics. Sonya has two summons, Leg Grab and Energy Rings. Can they give me the safety I so desire? Both lose to 6 framers, which doesn't leave me feeling very confident, so before even looking at 7 frames, let's just jump straight to Quan Chi and his 8 frames standing 1. Both also lose to that, so already, according to my personal preference, Sonya's not off to a very good start. However, Energy Rings is a mid-projectile with a short cooldown, fulfilling this full-screen neutral shortcoming quite nicely. Because it can also be charged with increased block advantage the longer it's charged, launching on hit at maximum duration, it also lends to this pressure category. Abilities like this have a certain fun factor for me, and start the idea wheel churning about how it could be realistically set up and how to capitalize. And Leg Grab got a recent buff, now an overhead that's +1 on block, fitting into the pressure category. Like most overhead or low Kameo abilities, any mix-ups they provide are usually easy fuzzy blocks as they come out so much slower than their mix-up counterparts. But it will still hit people. And if it doesn't, it's still +1 on block, even if it's not at a necessarily ideal range for Mileena. It does give a little pop-up on hit though, so it also branches over into the damage category. The Square Wave Ambush is the real star of the damage category though. It gives combo extensions and new combos outright, specifically off the forward 1-4-4 string. The full string that starts from Mileena's mid that doesn't have a special cancel window so normally doesn't net a combo. Sonya really falls short in that first subcategory but really shines in others. This is when I ask myself how much of a weighted value I'm really giving these categories. What matters most to facilitate the kind of game plan that I want to implement? All of that was a little bit more thorough than I was intending, so let's very quickly go over a couple cameos recently discussed on this channel that have incoming buffs, Sektor and Frost. Like Sareena, I would consider Sektor a high synergy cameo pairing. Flamethrower is a restand on hit, it's plus on block, and not only covers 1-2's flawless block gap, it also gives trade combos in some situations. Missile does most of the heavy lifting for this team though, providing neutral control and pressure with his mix-up and armor breaking potential. He can also give you a little bit of a damage bump when needed with his teleport. Conversely, Frost can't do anything about the gap and doesn't give you much in the way of damage. Orb is great for setups and pressure, but can be hard to set up. While it doesn't cover the flawless block gap, Ice Crash is a really good big poke that has a lot of utility. The wall ambush they're giving her here shortly will fall nicely into the pressure category. Combined with Orb, this has a lot of potential. We won't know for sure until we actually get our hands on it, but I'm optimistic. Okay, one last time for good measure, and I'll do it with a cameo I'm not really familiar with. Not like the aforementioned ones anyway. So let's see how Tremor shakes out within the confines of these parameters. Up until this point, I haven't mentioned a cameo's forward throw or health value as considerations. I'm actually quite adamant about the latter, as any health loss is almost always a deal breaker for me personally. Damage, hit advantage, and spacing are all relevant regarding forward throw properties. Tremor's throw is quite good for Mileena because it leaves the opponent close, while most would throw them full screen. It has pretty average hit advantage for a forward throw, but enough hit advantage for forward 4 to beat some slower armored moves. I would love for this to be my forward throw, plus he gives you 100 health, so we're already off to a really good start. Can he cover the flawless block gap? He can, but only in Aftershock, so it's not always at hand, and it trades with 6 framers. I'll call this one okay, but not great. What about any kind of full screen presence? He has these slow meatball projectiles in metallic, one overhead and the other one's low, but they're slow. Nothing you'd be using like Sareena or Sonya, that's for sure. They're plus on block though, and the overhead version can give anti-air combos if they jump expecting the low. Crystalline's projectile reflect could also be useful, even comboing with the ambush version thanks to ball roll. Now on to the other two subcategories. Pressure. Used as an ambush, Metallic's Rolling Rock creates some fun to blockable setups with Mileena. Forward 144 also has an option select when used with Lava Burst as an ambush. That is, if she times the switch to the Metallic variation with the second hit of the string, then immediately taps forward Kameo to call the ambush version of Lava Burst, the difference between the hit stun and block stun is such that the forward Kameo won't come out on block, resulting in this option select and saving your resources. Also, in the corner where there's no pushback, Lava Burst gives a nice little combo for a little bit of extra damage. On the topic of damage, Tremor definitely gives damage. A simple hit confirm leads to about what Mileena would get had she spent a bar of meter and done the combo by herself. So this is a nice trade-off. Do you want to spend meter or do you want to spend Kameo resources? From her biggest starter though, one that normally can't be converted with meter, gives more than what she'd spend a bar to get. As expected, the damage only gets higher in the corner, approaching 500 damage and breaking 550 with Fatal Blow. Used as an ambush, Ground Pound also gives Melina a lot of new combo starters, including her Armored Reversal and her back throw. I do not think Tremor is hurting in the damage category at all. So what's the conclusion? On paper, Tremor is quite good. I did try him in a few matches and unfortunately felt he was a little bit too micromanagey for my taste, but digging into him was still a worthy endeavor. And that about wraps her up. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.